Good morning and welcome to Enlightened Fitness. My name is Lama Jigme. And what we're going to do is first we're going to diabolically use high-intensity bodyweight interval training to cultivate the body of a tantric sex god. And then we're going to use guided meditation to cultivate both the heart and the mind of a Buddha. Now, there are ways to work out to increase the efficiency of your workout. For instance, I'm sure you noticed with yesterday's video, instead of walking across the apartment to do the pulling exercise, I used the apparatus, that black apparatus right there, to do the pulling exercise. That way, literally, it took me 1 to 2 seconds to transition from one exercise to the other. So that increased the efficiency of the workout, that supercharged the metabolism. But even having the most productive workout, that's the sound of my rice cooker. Okay, there you go. So regardless of how efficient your workout is, it only accounts for 30% of weight loss. 70% of weight loss is determined by what you put in your mouth. That's why I recommend a 5-prong approach. Drink only water. Eat 1 to 2 meals a day. Now, that's for people who really, really want to slim down. If you don't, you can eat 3 meals a day. That's fine. You can eat whenever you're hungry. That's fine. It's a question of how slim, how lean you want to be. My personal fitness goal is to look like Daniel Craig did in Casino Royale. That's my goal. From the neck down, that's what I want to look like. So, for me, for the leanness, many people find that intermittent fasting works great. Now, that doesn't mean you starve yourself. You consume all the day's calories that you require in those 1 to 2 meals, whether it be brunch and supper, or lunch and dinner, or breakfast and lunch, whichever you prefer. Some people who are very intense will just do 1 meal a day, whether it's lunch or whether it's dinner. That's up to them. That's what the Theravadan monks do in Southeast Asia. Let's continue. So, the third prong is low-fat, whole-food, plant-based meals. And that sounds more difficult than it really is. For instance, what I do is, you just heard my rice cooker go off, so I make a big pot of brown rice. I like the long grain personally. Before I go to bed, I put on a crock pot of well-spiced beans. And before I eat brunch today, I'll make a great big bowl of homemade salsa. And that salsa will contain, let's see, serrano chili, celery, green onions, gotta get that chlorophyll, tomatoes, and I think that's it, unless I've forgotten something. But basically, it's drinking a salad, and it adds much more flavor and much more pleasure to the meal, and also adds a raw, whole, fresh, ripe, raw component to the meal, which is very important, especially for your immune system. So that's just an example of what you can do. Now, if you have more time and energy, more creativity, there are wonderful books. In fact, if you notice below the video, about 3 inches below the video, there's a button that reads Show More. When you click that with your mouse, it'll reveal a list of links as long as my arm. The second link will take you to a page on my website full of wonderful resources for the low-fat, whole-food, plant-based diet, which is awesome for your body. The animals really appreciate it, and so does the planet. It's been said that if just 15% of the world's population switched to a low-fat, whole-food, plant-based diet, it would have a dramatic effect on global warming. Actually, it would be best if everyone did, but if 15% did it, it would become a political reality. So that's huge. We can change the planet with our consumer choices. Fantastic. On that page, there's a bunch of resources. There are PDFs. There are YouTube video channels, and highly discounted books that you can get your hands on. If you're curious about recipes and details and stuff like that. And speaking of books, we're going to read from the McDougall Program for Maximum Weight Loss this morning. But before we do, let's cover the remaining 2 points. The remaining 2 points of the 3-point outline are high-intensity interval training and bodyweight exercises. The beautiful thing about doing a bodyweight exercise is it requires a minimum amount of equipment. The only equipment I use is my yoga blanket and a pulling apparatus. You can use a $20 door strap, or you can use a piece of furniture if you're ginger and coordinated and don't pull it down on yourself. Or you could use a $100 apparatus like the one I have over there. All of them are available on the website except for the furniture, of course. That's what you have in your apartment. There's an entire video all about pulling exercises. Each of the exercises you'll see are explained in their own video. You'll find easier versions, the exact versions, and more challenging versions. But I assure you, the beautiful thing about the high-intensity interval training is that if you do it correctly, you can get a superior workout in 12 minutes than you can in an hour, which is awesome. Superior for your cardiovascular system, superior for your metabolism, superior for your muscles. You can get the best shape of your life in just 12 minutes a day. That's fantastic. Now, I promised you to read an excerpt from this book today. Now, this section of the book is not written from a vegan point of view. It's written from a medical point of view. Having said that, let's continue. Feasts become special again. The McDougall program is for daily consumption. It is essentially the same diet we humans have been eating for millennia. It is the diet we evolved on, and the diet that is still consumed in traditional cultures by most of the world. Our ancestors feasted during celebrations. We ate, drank, and made merry on holidays, and Thanksgiving, and on other joyous occasions. Modern American life is a historical anomaly. Today, virtually every one of us eats as only the few opulent aristocrats once did. The effects of this diet on those aristocrats is well documented in medical records and the arts. Paintings of the plump royalty dressed in their fine robes and dresses, and literary descriptions of decadence and illness attest to the effects of the overindulgence and physical softness of their lives. Let me be clear. I'm not making a moral judgment of anyone. I'm simply stating a scientific and medical fact. A lifestyle of inactivity and a diet rich in fat and low carbohydrates destroys human health. We have not been designed by evolution to eat such a diet. I'm going to take a quick aside for myself. I've tried virtually every diet out there. I've tried the omnivorous diet, the whole food omnivorous diet, the junk food omnivorous diet. I've tried the various Atkins diets, caveman diets, paleo diets. I've tried various vegetarian diets. I've tried the Fit for Life diet, natural hygiene diet, 80-10-10 diet. I've done the low-fat, whole food, plant-based diet. And personally, I found no diet more effective than the latter. It really does seem that we are starchivores. We're designed to get the majority of our calories from whole food, plant-based starches. At a century ago, or actually more than a century ago, when we began archaeology, it was laughable. And the archaeologists concluded, when they found archaeological digs they would find animal bones around fire pits, but they wouldn't find corn or potatoes. Well, you and me would say that's because corn and potatoes decompose, whereas animal bones can fossilize. So the early archaeologists concluded that our ancestors were hunters-gatherers with an emphasis on animal foods. More recent archaeological efforts have found evidence between the teeth of the remains of our ancestors that they were eating starches. And so that explodes the myth that we come from carnivorous backgrounds. We're most likely omnivorous. We probably put in our mouth whatever we could find. We probably weren't choosy. We were hungry. Let's face it, we weren't the strongest or fastest or most vicious animals, so we ate whatever we could find. Let's continue. But before we do, every diet book has a theory section and a practice section. And every diet book's theory section puts together a sound argument, at least superficially. But they say different things, so they can't all be right. So what I began doing was ignoring the theory part, just following the practice part, and noticing the results in my life. And then I'd also notice the cover art of the author and ask myself, do I want to look like this author? Well, the guy who wrote the paleo diet does not look well. Most of the paleo authors, the caveman diet and the high protein, low carb diets, do not look like the Olympic ideal. And I'm not saying I hate them or they're bad people. I'm just saying what they're doing or what they're espousing isn't generating the results that I desire. And if you're watching this video, probably that you desire as well. When I look at the physicians who are behind the low-fat, whole-food, plant-based diet, when I look at Dr. McDougall, when I look at Dr. Barnard, when I look at Dr. Graham, I see fit, lean, trim, strong men who are aging very well. When I look at Tim Robbins, he looks great. And Tim Robbins is the guy who wrote Diet for New America and numerous other books along the same vein. So any 20-something can eat virtually any diet and work out a little bit and look good. That same is not true for a 30-something or a 40-something or a 50-something or a 60-something. For a 70-something to look fabulous and to have the diet that gives them the strength to work out says a lot about the diet. Let's continue with the passage. Yet there is no place for rich foods when and if they are reintroduced. Yet there is a place for rich foods when and if they are reintroduced into your diet. The place is reserved for festive occasions. If we are to regain our health, turkey must once again be for Thanksgiving, ham for Christmas, eggs for Easter, candy for Halloween and Valentine's Day, cake and ice cream for birthdays. For the average American, every breakfast is Easter, every dinner is Thanksgiving and Christmas. Most evenings offer traditional birthday party foods such as cake or ice cream or both. If you were to back up and see our lifestyle within the context of the world or within the context of history, you would see two things. Our eating habits are very different from those of our ancestors and from those of most of the world today. And these eating habits are the cause of our epidemic of obesity and degenerative disease. The current diet is simply too rich for our metabolism. It is really a matter of balance, of making our daily eating simple and healthful and reserved for our feasting or for celebrations once again. So what Dr. McDougall is saying is, listen, if you love ham, if you love turkey, if you love beef, then have it, but only once in a very rare while. Maybe once a year. If For instance, Dr. Esselstyn, who was featured in the wonderful documentary Forks Over Knives, allows himself one piece of chocolate a year. I don't like that, and I'll tell you why. Number one, my body is really sensitive, and I don't like the damage bad food causes. If I want something sweet, I'm going to have a piece of fruit. If I want something savory, I'm going to have some wonderfully spiced beans. My former wife, bless her heart, was her half Bengali, and she taught me some wonderful recipes. Number two, I don't consider poisoning myself to be an intelligent way of celebrating anything, ever. Number three, I don't want to feed addictions. Ask any addict who's been addicted to an illicit substance. For instance, if he goes to jail and can't have liquor, when he comes out of jail and he has an opportunity for liquor, he consumes it, and it is as if he never spent a day away from it. Well, it's the same thing as if you are a ham junkie, or a turkey junkie, or a beef junkie, or a chicken junkie, or a sugar junkie, or a fat junkie, then you finally get off it. Then you let yourself one sampling of it that can cause the old cravings and the old addictions to climb out of the craves like a zombie from a B movie. And nobody wants that. It's much more sustainable if you simply cultivate the habit of satisfying your tongue's cravings with healthful choices. Your tongue is only really capable of sensing 5 flavors. Now, let me see if I can remember them. There's salty, there's sweet, there's bitter, there's savory, and there's a 5th one that I think it's hot. Spicy hot. And those 5 things can be satisfied with natural plant foods. You want something salty? Try some chopped celery. You want something sweet? How's about some fruit? You want something savory? How about a tomato? Oh, it's delicious. Let's see. And so forth and so on. So there is a natural, healthful alternative to anything else. If you're craving fat, my friend, it's because you're failing to consume a sufficient amount of calories from starch. You look at the majority of starch-based cultures, they are not rotund, and they are not prone to diabetes. It's only when they assume the practice of the standard American diet that those degenerative disorders assail them. Now, sadly, in many starch-based cultures, there are refined foods available which will wreck a metabolism. Things like cornstarch or monosodium glutamate and stuff like that. Those things, anything refined is bad for you. But whole starches are excellent for you. Let's continue. It's important that you understand the scientific and medical rationale behind healthful food choices and the McDougall program. By the way, this was written many, many years ago when he was really promoting his program. He's much older now, and he's retired, and now his emphasis basically is save humanity, save the planet. So if this feels like he's doing a sales pitch, he is. He was much younger then. But there's still some wisdom in this book. Therefore, I have dedicated the next 5 chapters to describing the mechanisms by which weight is gained and lost. I've described the essential nature of your hunger drive, your metabolism, and your nutritional needs. In Chapter 6, I offer a complete description of the McDougall diet. In Chapter 9, I describe a safe and effective exercise program that you can stay with easily. And in subsequent chapters, I address particular problems, such as why women lose weight more slowly than men. I also discuss how to adapt quickly to the program, how you can maintain the program, still go out to eat in restaurants, and what to shop for in the supermarket. Finally, in Chapter 15 and 16, I present menu plans, cooking techniques, and more than 100 recipes. So let's begin our transformation starting with one of the areas that stimulates the most guilt and confusion for people struggling with their weight, their body's hunger drive. Okay, that's all the lecture this morning. Let's get cracking with our workout. Great thing about watching me on DVD is if I go too slow for you, you can just fast forward. Ooh, let's move on. Okay, my friends, we're going to warm up using 2 repetitions of Indian-inspired 12-phase sun salutations. These are described in the links below the video. I should say this is described in the links below the video. Quick reminder, you don't have to be limber to do this. That's the power of bending your knees. In fact, it works your muscles more effectively if your knees are bent a little bit during this warming up series of exercises. Okay, we've broken sweat, we're breathing a little deeper, we're warmed up. Please join me for 5 circuits of 5 exercises. Push yourself as hard as you can, transition to each exercise as quickly as possible. By the conclusion of our 12-minute workout, we want to be out of breath and drenched in sweat. If any of these exercises are unfamiliar, go back and watch the tutorials. There's 4 tutorials. There's a leg tutorial, a pressing tutorial, a core tutorial, also known as an abs tutorial, and a pulling tutorial. So there is a workout for every budget and every fitness level. Okay, let's begin with, welcome to the first circuit, first heels. First toes. First hiking press. Really tuck those hands into the armpits as much as possible. Okay, let's do first set of thrusters. First set of pulls. Welcome to the second circuit. Second heels. Second toes. Second press. Get your wrist as tight as you can and your elbows in. Okay, let's do second thrusters. Second pull. Welcome to the third circuit. Third heels. We're done. Third heels. Third toes. Third press. Okay, how about some thrusters? Third set. Third pull. Welcome to the fourth circuit. Fourth heels. toes. Fourth, press. Fourth, thrusts. Okay, fourth pull. Welcome to the fifth and final circuit. Fifth heels. We never jump on our heels, only on the balls of our feet. Fifth balls, or fifth toes. Okay, fifth press. Fifth thrust. Fifth and final pull. My friends, that concludes this morning's high-intensity body weight interval training. Now I'm going to move the blanket. This is a cotton blanket you can stick in the washing machine. Of course, in the perfect world, this would be hemp. Much better for the earth than cotton. But one has to live within one's budget. Let me see you from the headless Lama. Yes, I am. Don't want to wind up like Lucy Liu and Kill Bill with the top of my head missing. That's not an attractive look. Woo! Whew. Some people would say perspire, some people would say sweat, some people would say glisten. I must go back to my Hebrew roots and say schwitz. Water, beverage of choice. Before we exercise, we read a nutrition book. Before we meditate, we're going to read a Buddhist book. This is a translation of a root text that was penned in the 1700s by a fellow named Karma Jigme Rinpoche, who was one of the first Jigme Manipas, or non-sectarian devotees of the Buddha of compassion, whose emphasis was to simplify everything rather than complicate everything. I'm reminded of what Albert Einstein once said, and I'll paraphrase: any educated fool can make something more complex, more violent, and more difficult. But it takes a touch of courage and genius to move in the opposite direction and make things easier and simpler, and ironically, even more effective. Whew! Now I got to warn you, 300 years ago, or more, our friend Karma Jigme was more fundamentalist than myself, so I'll read you his words, then I'll give you the liberal spin on everything, when it's required. The reason I do that is the fundamentalists tend to be more literal in their approach to Scripture and a bit more rigid and fear-oriented. Personally, I found that fear is poison that can breed resentment. And it's no way to live. Even though the Dalai Lama, bless his heart, teaches fear can be good, no. I'd rather do the right thing for a love motivation than do the right thing for a fear motivation. Let's continue. We haven't the karmic fortune to meet the limitless Buddhas of the 10 directions, the Bodhisattvas of the many accomplished masters. Therefore, the master who confers empowerment, explains the tantras, and gives you the oral instructions is more kind than all the enlightened ones. Now, does that mean that we should trust our teacher blindly? That we should, like some Kool-Aid drinking member of Jamestown? And the answer is no. That's why, as a liberal, I insist we honor our teacher most by suspending judgment, receiving his instruction, giving the benefit of the doubt, receiving his instructions, applying his instructions, engaging our judgment, and noticing the results of those instructions. It's very simple. If we get crap results, go find another teacher. When we get good results, go back, get more teachings. It's just that simple. Just as the British used to say the proof of the pudding is in the tasting, just as Jesus said, you know a tree by its fruit, Buddha explained that it's the efficacy of the instructions that validates the teacher. Sadly, Fundamentalism has crept into Buddhism over the millennia, and people now practice with blind faith, regardless of whether they get good results or bad. And when they get bad results, they just justify and minimize and rationalize and fatalize their bad results, pseudo-piously. Don't do that. Insist on full enlightenment in this lifetime. Insist on spectacular results from every technique you apply. If you don't get spectacular results, go back to your teacher and tell him. Maybe you misunderstood his instructions. If you didn't misunderstand his instructions and they don't work for you, then find a teacher whose stuff does work for you. It's the efficacy is how we judge a teacher. Now here's the thing. Yes, it's nice to make offerings to your teacher to make sure he's fed. That's lovely. But the most important offering we can give to a teacher is the enthusiastic application of his instructions. Because yes, a teacher may not wish to die of exposure or hunger, but that's nothing compared to the specter of his students not benefiting from his instructions. A good teacher craves the spiritual progress of his students even more than his next breath. And yes, I use the word crave. There's a myth in modern Buddhism that we're not supposed to have any cravings. No, we're not supposed to be ruled by our cravings, but we're allowed to have cravings. We're allowed to crave that others be liberated from suffering. That's called compassion. We're allowed to crave that others receive blessings. That's called love. We're allowed to crave our enlightenment. That's spiritual ambition. These are things that Buddha taught. So the next time someone says, I can summarize all of Buddha's teachings in one pithy statement, put your hands over your ears and say, la 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 la, because that guy's just going to try to pollute you with his self-important gibberish. The first link below the videos takes you to a page on my website where you can find the bodyweight circuit training. And on that page, all the Enlightened all the Enlightened fitness videos are organized. First, they're organized by length of workout into the appropriate boxes. There's a box for a 10-minute workout, a box for a 2-minute workout, a box for a 4-minute workout. You get the idea. Within each box, the videos are organized by length of guided meditation. If this is your first time watching my talking head, then by all means start with just a 3-minute guided meditation. What's that? You say you've been meditating 20 years and you don't need no stinking 3 minutes? Well, guess what? If humility is that difficult for you, then you probably took a wrong turn in your meditation. Start with a 3-minute one. Now, if you've already been watching me, and you enjoyed the last guided meditation, which was for 30 minutes, then I invite you to practice today's guided meditation, which should be for 33 minutes. Whew! So, there's a link to a video that will help you find a position that's comfortable for you to sit in. There's another link for a video to teach you how to count your finger creases. I'm going to assume you've already watched both of those. You're good to go. Please sit erect. Place your left hand in your lap, palm up. Place your right hand in your left, palm up. Thumbs do not touch each other. We're going to start with alternate nostril breathing. Actually, let's do something different. Let's start with Anapanasati's mindfulness with breathing. How long breath? Releasing. How long breath, releasing. Don't be scared to breathe deeply. Remember to relax during the out-breath. Let's use the one syllable paradigm. Breathe free. Remember, this is not Hinduism. We're not trying to concentrate single pointedly on our breath. We're just using our breath to guide our awareness. If other thoughts or feelings are cartwheeling through our mind, that's okay. We're simply noticing on the in-breath and intending to release and let go on our out-breath. That's the key to Buddhist meditation. Because it's in harmony with the nature of mind, it's much more effective. We pretend mind is a machine or a computer that can focus perfectly. All we're doing is repressing and growing in rigidity. But no one ever accomplished the 10th bhumi of full enlightenment through rigidity. That is through flexibility. Remember, be like fluid water. Well, fluid water can flow or it can crash. But it is an unignorable force of nature. So be like water and flow. Woof. Okay, our second exercise is also a review. We're going to review what we learned yesterday with Hoa's rehearsal of the transference of consciousness at the moment of death. We begin with universal love. Give to each great rebirth. Now we turn our attention to ourselves. Great rebirth, out through crown. Now we make it much more technical. Where crown Om, releasing. Om, free. What's seeing? Releasing. See free. Noticing, relaxing. This ease. So now that we've completed the 6th minute of guided meditation, that was a union of Mahamudra and Dzogchen, specifically the Mahamudra of Hoa, the transference of consciousness, and the Dzogchen of Todlen, or leap over. Don't be surprised by the profundity of the obscurity of the terms. It simply means a union of awareness and letting go that's visually biased. There is a tendency in Asia to take straightforward techniques and obscure them, making them unnecessarily cryptic and hidden. It's done in the name of protecting the purity of the lineage and protecting students from dangerous techniques, but that's a lie. The real reason it's done is to create a sense of elitism and to extort more donations from students. One of the things that makes me a very controversial teacher is that I demystify the techniques, explain them in common language, and make them accessible to all my students. Typically, I make the teachings available, all the teachings of Buddhism available, or at least all the teachings that don't require massive amounts of class materials, within the 30-day course of Enlightened Fitness. Within the 50-lesson course of the weekly webinars, I make every technique Buddhism available, including those that require class materials that I provide through the internet. Because I take all the secrets and make them public. And I do it in a very liberal, unconventional manner. I've earned the ire of many, many people. Go ahead, look me up on Google and see how many railing accusations you can find. Okay, now let's begin our third set of 3 minutes. We're going to do new stuff today. We're going to start with the Mahamudra practice of Guru Yoga. It's a very, very simplified version of Guru Yoga. It has 2 parts. The first part just helps us access our gratitude. Gratitude is a very positive, pleasurable emotion. And then we're going to turn that into an exercise for our channels, winds and drops, which increases our bliss. And then we're going to turn that into a vipassana exercise, a union of awareness and letting go exercise that focuses more on sensation. Our awareness and letting go focuses more on sensation. Then that is a type of dzogchen known as Tre Kacho, or cutting through. Very mystical term for a very trenchant, earthy practice. Simply noticing what you're feeling and staying with it. So whether you're feeling something glorious or grotesque, you stay with it. On the in-breath practicing awareness and the out-breath intending to let go, that's cutting through. Not to be confused with breaking through, that's a Doors song. Trick show was translated as breakthrough, but I couldn't help it. I had to put the pop culture reference in there. But 20 years ago, I noticed Dennis Miller doing that, and I said, I want to learn how to do that. One week, I spent about 7 days studying Dennis Miller's stand-up comedy, and I tried teaching a lesson. In the middle of a lesson, I did a Dennis Miller-esque rant, and it scared the hell out of my students. They thought I was having an aneurysm. Of course, this is all before Dennis Miller took a trip to the dark side. This is when he was still a liberal. Okay. Thanks for what? Releasing. So here's the idea. If you're doing a verbal exercise with the mantra, the question we would ask would be a bit longer. We would ask, what are some of the things that I could feel grateful about? And we shouldn't use the word, we would not use the word should. That would just promote guilt and neurosis. We would use the word could, which is more about possibility than it is probability. So we would ask, what are some of the things I could feel grateful about? Not grateful for, but grateful about. Grateful for infers things that we possess, or things that we feel. Grateful about, we're just excited that they exist in the realm of even remote possibility. But once again, that's too many words for silent meditation. So we're going to strip that down to 3 words, and those words are thanks for what? And on the out-breath, releasing. Remember, these are rhetorical questions. We don't answer them. We just ask them mentally, silently, and relax. Thanks for what? Releasing. Now we turn our attention to our teacher. What makes our teacher our teacher? The fact that when we apply his techniques, they actually work. That's why we could at least potentially experience even just a crumb of gratitude for him. So we ask, or we intend, thanks teacher, releasing. Now we're going to switch from the idea of gratitude to the idea of bliss. We're going to do it this way. We're going to ask the question, where heart free, releasing. Free, H-R-I, is a bija mantra, or a seed mantra, or a one-syllable mantra. In this context, free represents the union of 3 things. Our mind with the teacher's mind, and the union of all other teachers who have benefited us on the path, and their teachers and their teachers and their teachers and so forth. And thirdly, all the Buddhas. So we call that Lama, Ami, Taba, our teacher, or the union of teacher and the Buddha of infinite lives. So free is the union of all 3, all the Buddhas, all the teachers, and our minds blended inseparably. And we don't have to believe that. There are visualizations that will support that in future lessons. Right now it's just a fun idea we're going to play with. Where heart free, releasing. Do you feel something in your chest? The center of your chest? About an inch in front of your spine? If you don't worry, you will. It might take a day, or a week, or a month, or a quarter, but eventually you will. Some people are more sensitive than others. That doesn't make them more or less spiritual. That's just a question of wiring. That's all. It's kind of like when at a funeral. Some people cry the moment they hear about a friend dying. Some people it takes them a day or a week or a month or a quarter. Doesn't mean they love them any more or less. It's just a question of how they're wired. That's all. So we're going to reduce more heart-free releasing to its one syllable paradigm, which is free. Now we're going to switch into the Dzogchen, the Vipassana paradigm, or union of awareness and letting go, but we're going to emphasize sensation, so that makes it trick show or cutting through. Now I've got the Doors playing in my head. What feeling? Releasing. We're going to reduce that to the one syllable paradigm. Feel free. Well, that was contrived awareness. Now we're going to move to spontaneous awareness. Noticing, relaxing. Now we're going to break that down to the one syllable paradigm. This ease. And that completes our 9th minute of guided meditation. Everything that follows after this point is going to be old material that we're just going to review. So we're going to progress much more rapidly than we have in the last bit. Let's turn to Lam-rim. Lam-rim is a Tibetan phrase that could be conceptually translated as steep path, gentle stairs. I like that idea. Let's start with renunciation. How this not satisfy. Why turn from suffering's cause? How karma? Be quite just. How this chance be precious. What feeling? Releasing. How could this be funny? Grin with lips, releasing. Noticing, relaxing. This ease. Having completed our 12th minute of guided meditation, now continue on to Tong Lang's union of compassionate taking and loving giving. So let's take foolishness and give wisdom. We'll start with, how could each be kind mo? Why take fool as black smoke? How are all more than me? Why give wise as white light? In through nose, out through pores. Take fool smoke, give wise light. Let's reduce that down to one syllable. Fool, wise. Now we're going to do the analytical version of the wisdom of letting go. During yesterday's class, we explored the body. Now we're going to explore the mind. We begin with the question, how mind feel? Releasing. How is mind dependent? How could mind always change? How could mind not be me? How could mind not be mine? How could mind not be grasped? Why can't mind be grasped? Because there's no separate mind. It's connected to everything else. There is no permanent mind. It's always changing. Therefore, there is no separate mind to grasp. There is no permanent mind to grasp. Just a interdependent, ever-changing mind to let go of. Just as we cannot grasp the mind, we cannot grasp a paradise comprised of light. And so we ask, how here like Potala? We speak so much, but our words cannot be grasped. How speech like the Mani. Remember the Mani mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum. I'm a big Joss Whedon fan. I've seen every episode of Angel, including the one where he had this monster complaining that he was so tired of humans and they talk about their feelings. I feel happy. I feel scared. I feel sad. We talk about our sensations. That feels good. That rather hurts. What if our sensations were non-graspable? Just temporary things, they come and go. How bod like chain re zig. Zig is the Buddha of light, depicted as being comprised. Buddha of compassion, being comprised of white-colored light. You can download a free image of him using the links below the video from the class materials page. How bod like chain re zig. Now that we've completed the 18th minute of guided meditation, we're going to return to something very simple. Love and letting go. We're going to start with simple love, or metta. The metta that longs to give everyone peace. How peace good? Releasing. How peace feel? Releasing. Now to me, give great peace. Now to some give great peace. Now to all give great peace. How is heart full of love? Now to each give great peace. Each peace. And now we're going to do a wisdom practice. What seeing, releasing. What hearing, releasing. What feeling, releasing. How could this be funny? Grin with cheeks, grin with lips, releasing. Noticing, what's my mistake? How could mind be quite wise? Oh, let's try again. Why could mind be quite wise? Noticing, relaxing. this ease. That completes our 24th minute of guided meditation. Let's return to the metta, the love that gives everyone joy. One moment. Let's start with love. How love good, releasing. How love feel, releasing. Now to me, let's try this again. Give to me love for all. Give to some, love for all. Give to all, love for each. Give to each, love for all. Each love. Having completed our 27th minute of guided meditation, let's turn to wisdom. What feeling? Releasing. What hearing? Releasing. What seeing? Releasing. How could this be funny? Grin with lips. Let's try this again. Grin with cheeks, releasing. Noticing, relaxing. this ease. Having completed our 27th, I take that back, having completed our 30th minute of guided meditation, our final 3 minutes of guided meditation will be spent lovingly intending that everyone be lavished with joy and its causes. How joy good, releasing. How joy feel, releasing. Now to me, give great joy. Now to some, give great joy. Now to all, give great joy. Now to each, give great joy. Each joy. That concludes this morning's 33-minute guided meditation. Now, of course, it went more than 33 minutes with my commentary. But if you were to go back with pen and paper and just write down the contemplative notation itself, and then practice it with a stopwatch, you'd say it takes you approximately 33 minutes. And you'll notice that we did not do any mind-bending concentration. It was a very, very gentle process. And yet we're much more peaceful than we were 33 minutes ago. How cool is that? Buddhism should not be confused with Taoism or Hinduism. These are different paths with different assumptions and different techniques. Buddhism's goal is not to go enter a state of no thought, despite what Zen tells us. But remember, Zen, on one hand, is the bastard child of Taoism and Buddhism, and on the other hand, is just Taoism masquerading as Buddhism. That's not uncommon. When Buddhism was first brought to Tibet, the Bonpa practitioners of the indigenous shamanistic religion of Tibet often simply continued with their practice, merely finding Buddhist terminology and nomenclature to hide their techniques in. We saw the same thing in Europe when the Roman Empire just said, okay, all the denizens of this empire are Christian. It was at a point of swords. Everyone said, yes, sir. Or, yes, sir, because, I don't know how they did it. They were Roman. I think it was this. That was it. That's what they did. Anyway, that's too Nazi for me. That feels uncomfortable. But what happened is you had pagan, shamanistic religion, and earth religion, and in many cases people just took the Christian nomenclature, Christian saints, and used that to disguise their pagan beliefs and practices. So what happened with Zen is not unique in the history of human affairs. But we must not allow ourselves to be idealistic when dealing with Tibetans. We must not be naive to the presence of the Bon influence. In dealing with Zen and Shan, we must not be oblivious to the Taoist influence or presence. This is not me being sectarianism, saying one is better than the others, saying one is different. Different assumptions, different techniques, different goals, different destinations, different means of getting there. So in other words, be thee not deceived. The meditation the Buddha offers us was never intended to be rigid or to make us cranky. But so many practitioners of anapanasati, when they come home from intensive retreat, are by their own admission cranky bastards. Even though anapanasati was merely one of many techniques the Buddha taught, and he never taught it to the exclusion of other techniques. It has been confused. People try to make their minds rigid and wonder why it affects their emotions. People try to hide from their fears or their anger or their sorrows, by rigidly erecting the wall of synthetic concentration, and wonder why it messes up their heart and their emotions and their relationships. What I teach you is a departure from tradition, but not a departure, but actually a return to what Buddha originally taught. I invite you now to join me for a gentle set of geriatric yoga. Please sit erect. Please lace your hands behind your tush. Please open your chest and twist to the left. Why give wise, releasing. Please reverse. Now to each, give wisdom. Back to center. Please release your hands. Place them in the lap. Swing them out and overhead. Please bend to the left. Why give peace, releasing. Please reverse. Now to each, give great peace. Back to center. Please make your way into downward facing fetal position, which is also known as child's pose. Give to each, love for all. Curl hands into fists, place the knuckles upon the yoga blanket. Rapidly straighten the arms, ride the momentum into the seated samurai position, which is also known as lion's pose. Please lace your hands behind your tush. Please open your chest. Please drop your head and roll your gaze up. What seeing, releasing. What hearing, releasing. What feeling, releasing. Please release your hands. Please cup your palms and press them together so that the center of each palm is suspended before the upper third of your heart. Please relax your shoulders down from your ears and twist to the left. Why give joy, releasing. Back to center. Relax your shoulders down. Twist to the right. Now to each, give great joy. Back to center. Relax your shoulders down. Just make your way into the hands and knees position in preparation for cat-cow asana. Open mouth, slack jaw, give to each great comfort. One of the links below the video will take you to the class materials page. From there you can download the free latest version of the PDF entitled First Set of Lesson Texts. It contains approximately 24 lessons. At the conclusion of each lesson there are 3 recitations to protect, share, and multiply your good karma. You recite them once every morning and once every evening. Within a week or 2 you will have accidentally memorized them. I'm going to recite them right now while performing the last 2 exercises I And when you're ready, I invite you to join me. But whether you are reciting or not, please do the exercises along with me. We're going to start simply by standing, with our weight upon our major and minor ball of each foot behind the big and little toe, heels off the ground, knees subtly bent, hands laced behind the tush, which is thrust forward. Drop the head, roll the gaze up. How could this be funny? Grin with eyes, releasing. Please release the hands. Okay, we are now going to perform 2 repetitions of Indian-inspired full face sun salutation. By this virtue may I now accomplish the spontaneous, habitual, easy and effective mastery of Buddha's mental yogas, of wisdom, peace, love, and joy. And now lead every living being without exception to this ground. May everyone be healthy, wealthy, and happy. May everyone practice skillfully and joyfully. May everyone accomplish Jigme in this life. And then help many others do likewise. For truly that is the meaning of life. Om Mani Padme Hum. We will conclude with 2 repetitions of Vietnamese-inspired bows. May I always be cared for throughout all my lives by the Buddha of infinite light, emanating as my kind teacher. And as such may I always enthusiastically and joyfully tread this excellent path praised by the conquerors. Well, my friends, I thank you for your time and your kind attention, as well as your support and your enthusiasm to evolve. May you and yours be healthy and happy. Om Mani Padme Hum. Before you go, I wish to invite you to find the subscribe button and give that a click, and also to find the like button, as well as the share button. At the very end of the video, I will draw your attention over here to this corner. There should be a great big YouTube button. When you click that, it'll take you to your YouTube homepage. On the left-hand side, after you scroll down, you'll find a tab that reads Manage Subscriptions. You can look up either Lama, Jigme, or Tantric Sex God 1, and use your mouse, and to the right you'll find a box. You can use your mouse to put a check in that box, and that way you'll receive an email notifying you the next time I upload a video. Now I have two channels, Lama Jigme and 26 God 1. You'll want to subscribe to both of them because I post on them on alternating days. Now I mentioned there were many links below the video. You could use one of those links to help keep this monk fed, which would be lovely, but not mandatory. There's an additional link you could use to register for the next series of live weekly webinars. When do they begin? Tuesday, the 2nd of July. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.